228, Truck 6, Truck 3, Battalion 3, and the on-call inspector. 2303 West 46th Street, number 208.
Welcome to this episode of Sioux Falls Fire. I'm Division Chief Steve Fessler, and on this episode, we go out to the training center and we get to see a couple of different training evolutions, one for USAR and one for firefighting. We also talk to one of our EMS educators about how you or your organization can get CPR certified. And I get a chance to sit down with Chief McAravey and also Sioux Falls PD Chief Toom about the progression out at the public safety campus. All and more on this episode of Sioux Falls Fire. All right, we're out at the training center today, and I've got Captain Cody Vosberg here with Station 10 on C shift, and running our drill 3. It's been an interesting drill for you today, fairly quick. You're moving along. Kind of just talk us through what all did you guys do today?
Yep, so this is just one of our yearly drills where we kind of go back to the basics and do the things that we do on every structure fire, where we're pulling in our supply line, pulling hand lines off the truck, knocking down a fire, and performing a rescue on a victim. So, and then right on down to getting that victim out and doing CPR.
But even before that, you were putting your bunker gear on,
doing a bunker drill and
SCBA on, getting all set up, right?
And doing our time. We got to get all of our gear on in less than 2 minutes and be on air. And it's something that we do on every fire call, but just making sure we can still do it in under the 2 minutes.
Right, and then right off of that, you went into forcible entry, correct?
Yep.
How's that work?
Forcing the door. So yeah, we did our bunker drill, and then we grabbed our tools that we need, and we went up to the door. We do a quick size up on the door, and then we usually do it in groups of 2. One man's got the Halligan, the other one's got the flathead axe, and you just try to gain that purchase point and get that door gapped, and then try to force that door open, and just kind of figuring out the leverage and what's going to get you the best leverage to get that door to pop.
And after that point, you guys came around on scene.
Yep. Grabbed
a hydrant.
Yep. Dropped one guy at the hydrant, pulled 200 feet of our supply line, the yellow hose you see behind us here, and then we pulled up. We got our burn building over here, and we had smoke showing out of the front of the building. Okay. So I had a firefighter pull a line off. I did what the captain always does. You do a 360 of the building, try to figure out where that fire's at. You look for things like something when we're going around to schools and talking to kids. We tell them, if you're on Division 2, you can't get out. Throw toys out your window.
What is Division 2?
So the second floor of the floor of the structure.
All right.
So if a kid can't get out, we want them to know to throw their stuff out of that window, and then that's one of the things I'm doing as I'm walking around. I'm looking for things like that.
Looking for those clues.
Yep. Exactly. So yeah, we knocked down the fire, and then we had a simulation. One of our guys comes up, and he was pretending to be a victim and said, "Hey, I know there's a guy in that window right there up on the second floor." And so then we grabbed a ladder and went up, made entry into the room, and then we do what we call a VEIS. Okay. So we vent it, we knock that window out, we enter the room, we isolate it by shutting that door and controlling that flow path, and then we do a quick search. Okay. So then I was at the top of the ladder while my firefighter was in doing that search. He found the victim, brought him over to the ladder, and the 2 of us got him on that ladder and brought him down, and then we switch into EMS mode.
I was going to say, that's not the end of it. You started doing EMS on it.
Yep. So then we took them over to, and our crew, so on most real incidents, we're going to have more than 1 unit on scene, but this is kind of one of those it could happen scenarios. And now we got a victim. We can't just leave them there and go back in and fight fire. We got to take care of that victim.
Take care of the victim. So you did all the EMS.
Yep.
Ran a cardiac arrest on them. And finished up the drill.
And put in an airway and used our Lucas device and did a full EMS scenario.
So it was a good overall start to finish drill for you.
Absolutely, yep.
Looked like it went really well. And your times were really good because we did time it all. So good job once again.
The crew did a good job. I'm pretty proud of them.
All right, thank you very much. I'll let you get back to getting the truck ready so you can go back in service.
Sounds good. Well, thank you.
Thank you. So about a year ago, we broke ground on the new public safety campus. And in that year's time, there's a lot of stuff that's been going on out there. And right now what I've got Chief McAravey with me, and he's gonna kind of go through some of the information on how we got to this point, where we're going from here, and all of that. Welcome, Chief.
Thank you for having me.
Yes. So yeah, let's kind of go back to the beginning for the public safety campus. How did we get to this point?
It's been a long journey. Almost a decade ago, we identified that where we needed to be for training and what we needed to advance our skills within our profession, and started tracking down that. In 2018, we were able to bring in a consultant, and at that point, it was a pretty exciting process. That consultant came in and worked with our crews to identify what are the hazards specific to our jurisdiction that we need to be prepared to train on. So a lot of the props and the design of the facility was designed around structures and hazards we have in our community so that our people could better prepare for it. And then fast forward, once we saw what those needs were, we quickly identified the space constraints and the access constraints of our training center, our present training center, that we were best served to identify a new location. So worked with the administration and city council. We're able to successfully get to the bond where we were able to authorize a $50 million bond for a new training campus. Identified that the piece of ground that we're now ultimately on. It was exciting to identify that. The team that was working at the time, close to 100 acres there, right up against I-90. At this point, we're working on developing 42 of those acres, and a lot of interest in how we can deploy the rest of them for the best use of the community.
As it being a public safety campus, we've got multiple partners that not only fire is there, who else do we have there?
Yeah, so really excited about encompassing all of public safety. So we brought in our Metro 911 Center, our public safety access point for emergencies. So they're included in the project, as well as the emergency management team that is with fire. We will be standing up the new community EOC out there, the Emergency Operations Center, so that'll be included. It's important that as emergencies develop in our community, we have a strong conduit from the 911 call center to the Emergency Operations Center to the teams that are operating out in the field, and that'll really be utilized across the entire city. A lot of those evolve from a public safety concern to a public works, a parks, and it's really all encompassing.
So in addition to Metro Communications out there, the 911 Center, our training staffs for both fire and PD will be co-located out there, and it'll be able to, that's where we'll be able to coordinate more of our training together, get both fire and PD on the same page with a lot of this stuff, and yeah, it'll be a lot of good things there, correct?
Yeah, it's been exciting across our 20-year career to see how that relationship continues to build. One of the programs I was involved with as the battalion chief was our active shooter program. So got to work really closely with Sioux Falls PD's training officers, bring in their team so that we could train side by side. And it was interesting to see how all of our officers reacted there, and how it was great that we weren't just operating on an emergency scene. We knew each other before then. And now that those two training teams will be able to work side by side, mirror best practices, and then just incorporate all of our assets into drills. I think it's going to be really neat to see that synergy. You know, we've continued to evolve and make sure that we're being efficient with resources, whether it's SWAT and we help and aid in paramedics that aid in that. We're working together on drones. We share resources there, and then as the community, we're standing up a dive rescue program that we're working in concert. So we just continue to have more and more synergy there, and having them in the same space and co-located will be incredible.
Yeah, and you were talking briefly about how the props and different things were developed off of our hazards within Sioux Falls, that our company officers were able to go out, both PD and fire, and look at a lot of this stuff and then make suggestions on types of buildings, types of concerns that they have. So some of the different buildings, per se, tactical buildings that we have, what do we have there? What are we looking at?
So yeah, a really good assortment, because what we found and what was interesting bringing in a consultant is when you identify one structure and you build one structure, you can only have so many scenarios and so many different cards. We call them slides. So we're training and preparing for different slides. So we're able to bring in, and they're presently, if you drive by, you'll see we're up to the 6th floor. We're going to have a 6-story tactical building that we'll be able to burn in. Additionally, next to it, there will be a 2-story, more of a what we call a commercial, a flat roof building that helps us identify there's entirely different tactics that come along with fighting fires and responding to all kinds of emergencies in a smaller building like that. Additionally, across the one street there will be a 2-story residential building, and we're going to be able to continually increase and evolve our evolutions, that as we're preparing for an active shooter, civil disturbance, something like that, we're able to stage different items, different scenarios in different locations, so that we can build different slides and remove some of that muscle memory, but just prepare our people to be thinking on their feet. So it's really exciting to have those opportunities to be able to change up what the responders will see when they're out there training. Additionally, we were able to incorporate in there what we call a USAR prop, so urban search and rescue. They prepare for high-angle rescue training, confined space, structural collapse, and this was designed by an architect that actually the first of these he built was down in Miami-Dade, and the crews that were responding down to the Surfside collapse had trained on one of these facilities. So he's learned a lot through there. We were able to incorporate in this so that our team, if we were to see another one of those incidents in our community, we've been able to prepare for it in a safe environment at this new campus before we have to go in the real world and provide in that scene.
And you mentioned across the street, so there's a road network out there, and it's basically built off, one primary road is built off of Phillips Avenue, correct?
Yep, correct. Yeah, it's neat. That was part of it, that as the reports came in of where concerns were from our first responders and the hazards that we had, obviously our downtown district, we have a tremendous amount of pride in that area. And with the close building construction, the old building construction, there's just a lot of concern there. So, and that provides special hazards for our responders. So that main street, that main campus going through there is kind of modeled after Phillips Avenue, so that we can prepare for that, train for it. It gives you some of those, for us, it's setbacks. How close will you be to the building? What will it take to get a hose line into the structure? Are there going to be parked cars? And those kind of things they're able to replicate, which will be incredible for our responders to train on. And
so with the entire campus, the regional aspect of it, it won't be just Sioux Falls Fire or Sioux Falls PD out there. There'll be more people involved in training and doing different things out there too.
Correct. It's one of the areas that I've always appreciated about being involved in the fire service and public safety is we're able to break down some of those jurisdictional boundaries when it matters. And we have automatic aid agreements across certainly Minnehaha and Lincoln County. So we respond in concert with them. If they have emergencies, they're able to come in and respond to us. So looking forward to extending that. The VO Cruisenberry is a regional training ground. We do anticipate inviting in and bringing in our regional partners so that we can train side by side in these simulated hazards, so that when we have to go out and offer aid or request aid in, we can operate as one team.
And we know, that way we know each other. It's no different than fire and police. We know the surrounding community, firefighters and such also.
Absolutely.
All right, perfect. Well, that kind of gives us a good overview of what is going on out there at the PSC, as we're calling it now, in a 2-year construction. We're a year into it, so
halfway
there. We'll be keeping everybody kind of up to date as we progress through it, get more information out there, and I thank you for your time. I know you're busy, so I'll let you get back to it.
Appreciate it.
Thank you. So in addition to Sioux Falls Fire Rescue out at the Public Safety Campus, one of our other partners out there will be the Police Department. So today I've got Chief Toom with me. Welcome.
Yeah, thanks for having me.
And what we'd kind of like to get from you here is, what all is PD going to be able to have out there for new facilities, training, things like that?
Yeah, we're really excited about it, and part of it is, I think, we don't even know the full potential of what this training facility can be for either police or fire. Moving forward, it'll be exciting to see where it goes. But one of the primary things we're probably most excited about is the Emergency Vehicle Operations Course, or EVOC. It's been jokingly referred to as a racetrack, but it's not a racetrack, right? We spend the majority of our days in our cars driving around. I think the stat's been thrown out, 2.4 million miles a year. And as the city expands, we are driving more and more. And emergency vehicle operations is one of the primary hazards for law enforcement as far as loss of life within our job. So to have this facility in that course, which is just top notch, we had the opportunity to drive around on a little bit before its completion. It's just going to be a great asset for our training.
What are some of the things on that course that the officers will get to experience now?
Sure, and so you have just your high-speed curves, your straightaways, chicanes, low levels that we can kind of flood with water and create, environmental hazardous driving conditions, a little bit of other things, and then that's where I kind of come in with the imagination's kind of the limit. Then you see your training space, and we have some very smart people in both PD and fire on training, and how they can maximize that course to really new levels that maybe we never originally intended.
And if I remember right, there's a skid pad on there that basically you get wet and it is like ice.
It is, and so we can duplicate that. And again, it's just one of those things, you spend enough time in a vehicle, you're going to have hazards come up, and we have to respond no matter the conditions. So as much as we can prepare our people for it, it's going to be a huge plus. So
it's a big part of it. I know another area you're really excited about is the new range facility.
Yeah, the range, 15 lanes, 50 yards, all indoors. And many people in fire are familiar with our old facility. It's not even in the same league, right? This is such a nice modern facility, and one of the main things is just the ability to have it enclosed is industry best practice and standard, especially given some of just the environmental interstate, other people around, but also the ability to do low light shooting during the day. We can control the environment. We can bring in a vehicle. It was actually designed to bring in a vehicle, as a lot of police involved shootings involve around vehicles or including vehicles, so we can train in that environment inside. Again, really excited for the possibilities within some reality-based training components too, where we can really create a realistic environment within that range and maximize our training.
And then we have a lot of joint tactical style buildings that both PD and fire will utilize for training. Talk through a few of those.
Yeah, I'm excited for this because, we've used your facility, or our facility, I should say, but it's fire's primary training facility out at the airport for reality-based training, where we set up cityscapes and we put officers through the most realistic situations we can within their training. Well, this is tactical buildings, and the different things that are out there allow us to create a mini cityscape that we can hopefully create as lifelike as an experience within our training as we can. And really, I was just looking at the other day that 6-story tactical tower, just the amazing capabilities we'll have to train within there and create a variety of things. But just the other buildings, how they'll all work together to create really scenarios or situations that will be multi-building or a larger area. Because that's what we face in the real world, right? We're not just dealing with a confined apartment. A lot of times these critical incidents stretch for blocks and have a lot of considerations. And so not only to train our new people, but really the in-service training component too, to really make our people as best prepared for some of the challenges they're going to face.
In the administration building for the training staff, I know there's one specific room, the mat room.
Yeah. Talk
a little bit about that and what it's for.
So the mat room is where we do our defensive tactics training, and it basically, we need a big wrestling mat because a lot of that is on the ground and different things that happen there. And we have a mat room at our law enforcement center. Again, this one is going to be even bigger, better, and nicer. But the thing we're really excited about within this mat room is to incorporate our new simulator. Other parts in the country have almost a video simulator with weapons that interact with that simulator. But also the simulator can be controlled based on verbal dialogue and how the officer manages that situation. So the availability to set that up and to create training environments, and also with the mat floor, provide a little cushion if we drop something, because both cops and firefighters are good at breaking things. So it creates a safe environment to do that for all our training. And again, within that building itself, what do we do in a lot of our trainings? We spend a lot of time in classrooms. So to have nice, comfortable, big classrooms is really going to be key for us to really maximize our training and hopefully host trainings for the region. We're excited about what other classes we can host there as well.
A lot of good technology being brought into this full facility. And in addition to PD and fire, we have another partner, Metro Communications. What all they have?
So most police and most fire personnel have been inside Metro Communications, but some of us have not. And if you've ever walked through their facility, you recognize that the layout isn't necessarily optimal, right? And we rely on them heavily for our day-to-day operations. And so taking a tour and walking through the new space that they're going to occupy, it really is a night and day difference. The space, the capability. Again, I'm not fully up to speed because I'm not on the tech side of that aspect. That's not my strong point, but understanding some of the technological capabilities that we'll be able to incorporate and really expand on. We're building a Metro Communications or a PSAP that's going to grow with our community and be able to expand.
PSAP.
Yeah.
What does PSAP mean exactly?
Public Safety Answering Point. I don't know.
Yep, there you go. Yep, you got it. So they are the ones that receive the 911 calls and dispatch out PD, fire, and that type of stuff.
Yeah.
So that is the main collection point for 911 calls.
And we've both been in there during emergencies and seen how we have to come together with our partners and have a space where we can coordinate our response to either natural disasters or other incidents that we're facing. And in this space, especially in a secured environment, I mean, the building is literally designed to withstand about anything that the upper Midwest can throw at it weather-wise, right? And so we know we can have continuity of operations and keep that rolling. So again, excited to see what the possibilities are there as well as we grow in the next 10, 15, 20 plus years into this facility in a variety of ways and as our community grows.
Perfect. Well, thanks, Chief. I appreciate you sitting down with me to talk through some of the big changes with the public safety campus that PD will be able to have, and look forward to a year from now when it opens up and we move forward with it.
Yeah, I'm excited as well. And one of the things I always brag about as I either talk at conferences or engage with other people in the community is just how great our collaboration is. I think sometimes people are like, well, how well does a joint training facility work? And I think we're both better by being in the same location, working to maximize our training, maximize our resources, and the integration that we do on a day-to-day basis is something now we can train very effectively at that training center together to really apply these things that we're learning in the real world and serve our community the best possible way.
Yep, exactly. Well, thank you very much, Chief,
thanks for having me.
I'll let you get back to your busy day.
I will.
Thank you.
Hi, this is Jeremy Robertson, EMS educator with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. Today we're talking about public education and CPR class. Heart disease is the #1 killer of Americans in the United States, and sudden cardiac arrest, where your heart actually stops, can happen at any time to anyone. So we're offering community education for just the general public to learn CPR and how to save somebody's life. We also do offer certification at a cost, but our public education with no certification is completely free of charge. So when we go out and do a public education class, usually I'm out there for about 45 minutes to an hour. I bring the mannequins out. We talk about how cardiac arrest works, how the heart stops. We go over hands-only CPR, how to use an AED. We'll also cover infant and child, just in case there may be a family member that has a heart issue or something like that. So the mannequins that we use, we have the feedback indicators in them, so it measures your depth and your rate of compressions. So you actually do get some hands-on training of pushing on the mannequin, seeing how CPR actually feels, and practice the different steps of it. And then we also have an AED trainer where you can actually go through, turn it on, it'll talk you through the process. You can put the patches on the skin, and don't worry, it's safe, it's not a real one. Okay, so Sioux Falls Fire does offer 2 different CPR classes. We have our American Heart Association certification classes, which are an online plus a classroom, and typically we do those on Thursdays at 5 o'clock. And then we also offer an educational only class, where that's where we come to your facility, your location, and we do about a 45-minute presentation on CPR with the mannequins. All of the information can be found at Sioux Falls Fire's website at siouxfalls.org/fire, or you can contact me directly at the fire department, 605-367-8271.
Hello, my name is Mike Murphy. I'm a battalion chief with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue, and I oversee our urban search and rescue program. I'm also a member of South Dakota Task Force 1, which is an all hazards response team that is made up of Rapid City Fire, Aberdeen Fire, Watertown Fire, and Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. This week we are honored to host our Structural Collapse Technician course, which is 6 days of training for all of our urban search and rescue technicians. And we're honored to host students from all across the state that are participating this week. And throughout the week they're going to learn several different disciplines that allow them to respond to any type of structural collapse incident. Yeah, so throughout the week, like I mentioned, they're going to get exposed to a couple different aspects of structural collapse. So one of the stations involves shoring up the interior of buildings, such as floors or roofs that may be compromised. They're also going to work on shoring up the exterior of buildings. If there's a wall that's in danger of leaning over or tipping, they can learn how to shore that up. They'll do quite a bit of work with cutting metal and concrete and other types of materials that they may encounter if there's a building collapse as well. And then lastly, they're going to learn how to lift or rig any type of structural members that may be in our way. If they need to lift up a piece of concrete or a wall or any piece of steel, they'll learn how to figure out the weight of it, rig it up, and then be able to move it out of the way using several different options. So obviously structural collapse is what we would refer to as a low frequency, high risk scenario. And so they don't happen very often, but when they do, it requires a lot of specialized training and a lot of personnel to be able to effectively respond to these types of incidents. And so given that that's the type of situation we're going to encounter, it's important for us to have assets and trained personnel across the state. And so thus why we have members from several different departments here training, so that if and when one of these incidents does occur, we can call on resources from across the state to respond. And that way we can have an effective force on that type of incident. Another great aspect of bringing individuals from different departments across the state is we have a chance to learn from each other. Every department, every city, every area works a little bit differently, has a little bit different equipment, and so it's a great opportunity to come together, compare ideas, use different techniques and different pieces of equipment, and it really enables us to be able to respond effectively by getting a chance to try out some different options. So as we have a chance to train together throughout the week, it is a great opportunity to recognize that there's multiple options on how we can address a lot of these issues. And so, we come to the realization that there may not be just one right answer, but several different options that may be successful. And this really gives us a chance to try out those options throughout the week and try them out. So when it does come time for an actual response, we're ready.
Hi, I'm Ryan Cox with Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. My position is Community Risk Reduction, and we are here today at a school to honor a student that really took his lesson home. We had a program a couple of weeks ago with the 4th grade class where we talked to them about fire safety issues, and one of the things we talked about was our smoke alarm program. So this student took it home, talked to his mom, and she did a great job. She called 211 helpline like she should for getting smoke alarms installed in their home. One of the funny things is one of the inspectors that was out installing the smoke alarms in the home is also part of our education program here at Sioux Falls Fire Rescue. And he told me that the student came home, told his mom, now they have smoke alarms in their house because the sad part is when he was there, they didn't have any smoke alarms at all to protect them. Now they are protected, and those smoke alarms are in their home for the next 10 years to help protect that family while they live there. So if someone in your family, someone that you know that lives in Sioux Falls needs smoke alarms in their home, or if their smoke alarms are over 10 years old, they need to be replaced, call the 211 helpline. They're going to get your information. We're going to schedule a time. We'll come out and we install smoke alarms and a CO detector in your home to help protect you. So make sure to go home, check the back of those alarms, make sure that they aren't over 10 years old, and call the 211 helpline if you need smoke alarms.
Thank you for watching this episode of Sioux Falls Fire. If you'd like to learn more about our CPR program or smoke alarm program, go to siouxfalls.org/fire.